Imagine everyone has a beetle in a box. Stay away from my box. Hi, welcome back to Examining Life. My name is Amanda. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's Thought Experiment Thursday. Today's thought experiment is called The Beetle in the Box, and the source of this thought experiment is Philosophical Investigations by Ludwig Wittgenstein, Blackwell, 1953. And this is a philosophy of language thought experiment, and I also want to preface this, as I did on Wednesday, that I do not have any formal experience in the philosophy of language, so please feel free to look into this further on your own. First, I will give a summary, then I will review the philosophical themes, and then I will continue on with my analysis of these themes. And I want to give a big thank you to my patrons and subscribers, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. Okay, so let's start with the summary. This thought experiment is about two boys. They found two boxes, one for each of them. They each opened their boxes, but they did not tell the other what was in his box. Neither would ever know what was in the other's box. They can't even describe what is in the box, nor compare it to anything else that they see outside of the box. They can only call what is in their box the word beetle. The boxes could have been empty, contained the same thing, or two completely different things. This was difficult when adults would ask them what was in their box, but the kids would still only tell the adults beetle. This experiment ends with the quote, "Was beetle a nonsense word, or did it have a private meaning that only the boys knew?" End quote. So the themes that I'm going to discuss in this thought experiment are the interpretation of words, the meaning of words, and epistemology. How can we attain knowledge with different interpretations and meanings of words? Okay, so first let's start with the interpretation of words. So the word beetle was interpreted several ways in this thought experiment. The boys potentially had a symbolic interpretation of the word beetle if there was anything other than a beetle in each of their boxes. If there was anything other than a beetle in each box, then the word beetle would simply be a symbol to mean whatever is in the box, but not meant to be taken literally, to mean beetle. Adults, on the other hand, did not like the metaphor and wanted to know what was actually in the box. Their interpretation was a much more literal one. So onto the meaning of words. The meaning of words, or the meaning that we give words, is quite interesting. What gives words meaning? Well, in part, one can argue that the origin of words help give words meaning, such as those with Greek or Latin roots. But even then, it's like, well, what gives the roots meaning? Another factor that goes into the meaning of words is having a proper understanding of the definitions of words. A dictionary is probably meant to be used as a guide for consistency of the meaning of each word. The intended consistency is meant to give language a certain degree of universality among its users, which to some degree limits the number of interpretations that a given word can have, at least in theory. Okay, so on to knowledge. I posed the question, how can we attain knowledge with different interpretations and meanings of words? It seems that in order for knowledge to be attained, the meanings of words must be clear and consistent, and everyone must have the same interpretation in order for communication to be effective, which is to say, understood as intended. However, clearly the word beetle did not have the same meaning nor interpretation by the boys and the adults. The boys knew what was in each of their boxes. They knew whether it was an actual beetle or not. And if beetles were not in the boxes, the boys also understood to interpret the word beetle as a symbol and was not to be taken literally. And this symbol meant anything in the box. I think the adults understood the symbolic meaning, but wanted to have actual knowledge about what was in their boxes. If, in fact, what was in the box was anything other than an actual beetle. Even in our actual reality, language doesn't seem to be so black and white. There does seem to be a lot of gray areas that are open to interpretation, whether or not that is how the communicator intended for it to be interpreted. Does having multiple interpretations hinder the ability to attain capital K knowledge? And if there is capital K knowledge, like if such thing exists, shouldn't there only be one interpretation? One that is true all the time? If the trueness of a word changes, then it would be difficult to call it capital K knowledge. However, perhaps its trueness can rightfully change with varying circumstances. For example, let's say there is an actual beetle in the box. Calling the thing inside the box Beetle would be universally true. Now let's say the beetle climbed out of the box. Thus there is no longer a beetle in the box. Yet the boy continues to call whatever is in the box Beetle, even if whatever is in the box is simply air. Now this statement is no longer universally true due to the difference in circumstances. The literal beetle is no longer in the box, but he still calls it Beetle. So perhaps this is just simply a false statement, but the boy interprets the word beetle as still being the air in the box. Thank you so much for watching this week's Thought Experiment Thursday! What do you think about this thought experiment? What's your philosophical interpretation? What gives language meaning? How should such meaning be interpreted? And how can we attain capital K knowledge from interpreting or understanding the meaning that words in any given language are supposed to have? Please let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to subscribe, comment, like, and share. Stay tuned every Thursday. Thank you. Bye.